have a special day with us. We love having guests. Today we have a special guest with us. We have a teacher, a guitarist, a wonderful artist, and musician. We have Lindy Day joining us. Darren, I'll let you further introduce
I
from
know.
here.
You said special day with the person's name is Day. That's too
Oh,
simple. Yeah. So Lindy Day, I was lucky enough to stumble across her through the miracle that is social media. You can find Lindy, who's a professional musician. You can find her on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. My God, she has almost 60,000 followers on TikTok. I find her 60-second guitar lessons better than anyone else on TikTok. That's even Rick Beato, who speaks over my head, but she breaks down the X's and O's of music very well. Here's what's crazy. It's her bio is so much better than me. 7 years of classical guitar. She plays the alto sax. She has toured with the Killer Queens, which is the world's only female Queen tribute band. She's performed live on NBC, and her music's been in the National Hockey League, a movie in IMAX called Insider's Rings, and the video game Gears of War 5, which my kids tell me about every 5 seconds. Please welcome Lindy Day. That was a long intro, but how are you doing, Lindy?
I mean, with that intro, I'm doing great. I was doing it beforehand too.
That's fantastic. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us, Lindy. We really look forward to talking music with you.
This is so awesome because we're, based just outside of Austin. Lindy's in New York, but this is how wonderful social media is, and now we're bringing it to you on the radio. I read up on Lindy and her background, and I noticed in her bio that Lindy, before COVID, used to do things and make a living. This is something we talk about a lot on our show, COVID, how musicians survived, and then post-COVID, how musicians are still dealing with this. But talk about your time during COVID and how you had to pivot and became the TikTok star that you are.
Man, I mean, like most musicians have the same story as like the landscape of the industry changed during COVID. I mean, anyone who does anything performance based is going to say that. So it was scary for a minute because I was doing a lot of performing, was how I made my income. Like, that was it. So COVID came, all my bands dissolved, and that was just a terrifying moment in time. Because, right, because us as musicians, we like build this skill set expecting to be able to do this skill set at a later time. We're one of the weird industries where you do all the work like ahead of time, and then when you're ready to perform, then you get paid. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
For sure.
Not a lot of industries do that, but that's what we are. So it's like doing all this work, getting ready to be performance ready, and then COVID's like, nope, you can't do your thing. Just like you had to be creative.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where the creativity came in. I did jump on social media doing these like 60-second lessons, which I didn't know so many people wanted to learn guitar. So that really COVID pointed me in this direction. I never planned on being this deep in social media as I am now.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's
Well,
cool.
not only COVID caused people to pivot, such as yourself and Micah too. This is how this show came to be because I was at home quarantine bored, and Micah
Hmm.
was one of the few people I saw. So I said, "Let's do a show." Anyway, but
He's like, I got to see people. I need
yeah,
some form
pretty
of human
much.
contact. We're going to break this one rule. I'm not going anywhere else, but I'm coming to your house and we're going to start a radio show.
When you could start going back to stores with masks, I went into Guitar Center just to get out of the house. The walls were barren. They're seriously, they were like 80% barren. And I asked the salespeople, like, why are there no guitars? He said, because of COVID, home-based hobbies, people need something to do at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
well, what is it you think about what's your key to your success, your meteoric rise in TikTok for all your followers? Every time I
Oh,
look, there's like 5,000 more.
yeah. I mean, and for what it's worth, I've seen you on TikTok comments for a while now. So I just want to take a minute to say like how
Yay.
cool to meet you in video. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man. That's
Darren's
awesome.
in it too. Like he watches a lot of people, but if he's communicating with you, that is a small list. So not that it's
That is
special, but
true.
like it is. He
I
doesn't
do
talk
it
with a
for a
lot.
living,
Yep.
but yeah, for me to comment and interact, yeah,
Mhm,
it's you have to
mhm.
catch my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me what you think your success is about.
Yeah, I mean, you just touched on this. Some of it is timing because during COVID, a lot of people, like the COVID hobbies, right? Everyone learned new hobbies and everything. And a big thing, people were like, oh, yeah, I have this guitar laying around.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said I wanted to learn guitar, and now's the time to learn guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first got on social media was like that core time, people were they were ready to learn. And I was actually floored at how many people wanted to learn. Like man, being an educator is a really interesting thing. I was just amazed at how well received it was. A lot of it was timing. Not all of it though, because I mean that learning, like the guitar learning community is still totally thriving. So I'm gonna say a lot of it was timing. But the second thing is 60-second guitar lessons, right? Okay, if there's any music instructors listening to this, like really challenge yourself. Can you explain a concept in 60 seconds? It's harder than us as educators think, but if you can do it effectively, I think it's very attention getting, especially in today's age where like attention spans are a little shorter. So it's a little bit of that, just like I communicate really well, but the timing came in too. You know?
But also say, right, this is funny because I'm going to tell Darren this right now. Darren always goes, dude, it's only like 7 seconds, 15 seconds. Can you plop out a video? And I'm like,
that's not what I said. None of what he just said
so
is true. That is such an exaggeration.
Dude, it takes me about 20 minutes to record a 30-second to 1 minute thing. And even though I teach it all of the time, breaking it down is a thing. So do you find the same, or do you find it's easy and you can just pop it out? Or do you have a plan? Do you write it out? What do you do? What's your process of being like, I got a 60-second nugget. How do I boil it down and get it to the people?
Ooh, it varies greatly.
And tell us in 7 seconds.
No, I will not.
We've got 30 minutes, so today you got extra time.
Right? Yeah, like my own challenge coming back to bite me. Okay, so this week I'm doing a lot of lessons on arpeggios, right? I just am.
Yes, which I love. Thank you.
Right? And like you think about arpeggios, you're like, they're not that interesting. It's just something my teacher makes me do. But if you take one aspect of an arpeggio and talk about it for 60 seconds, you're like, wait a minute. There's actually like a really golden thing we can talk about here. The video I'm posting actually tomorrow is going to be how arpeggios are only defined as going ascending or descending. And the very next question is, well, can I take all these chord tones and play them out of order? Is that still an arpeggio? And now we're going to pivot the conversation.
What's the answer?
I mean, no, it's not an arpeggio anymore.
Okay.
If you're going to chord tones not in ascending or descending order, you don't really have an arpeggio. You don't. By definition, you don't. So, it's just these tiny details that I find those are fun to talk about. But like that didn't take 6 seconds to come up with. That
Absolutely
was a
not.
discussion happened on social media. What are the questions people are having about arpeggios?
Yeah.
This is a thing that's confusing in the comments. So it's a lot of like thinking and presenting information at the right time.
I think that definition and discussion not only didn't it take 60 seconds or 7 seconds, it took you 7 years to study to be able to explain it. I think teaching and educating in its very nature is incredibly difficult. Communication is difficult, understanding. So taking something in general for music teacher, math teacher, whatever, and distilling it down to that nugget is hard. Doing it in a shorter time span is even harder. So, listen, shameless plug for Lindy. Lessons with Lindy, Lindy.
Yeah.
And
worth your time, people. Any social channel, Lessons with Lindy. I do find that you have a wonderful way. Darren said this, but I reverberate the statement fully. You have a great way of explaining complex things in a simple and digestible
which is so
manner.
hard.
Then that's the art of a teacher. The
Right.
The next level that I think, which I've never spent time with you, but I can already tell a short minute here, is the ability to change on a person-to-person basis. Like we don't digest information the same way. You do a wonderful job, though, of boiling down a very complicated thing and making it digestible. That's the great art of a teacher.
Yeah, you can be a killer musician. That doesn't mean you're a good teacher.
Sure.
I mean, those things are true whether you're a basketball coach or whatever. So, yeah, thank you. Just keep on keeping on. But, Lindy, for people that want a person that fully wants to, play guitar, online courses, which you provide one-on-one, but I think you have a recording too. Can a human being really learn strictly in the online
Do you mean
environment?
like fully online, Darren? Like never actually talking with a human person? Because I'm actually interested in this question.
I both. So there's the one-on-one Zoom, which I know people, because I've taken lessons this way, can learn that way. But if you subscribe,
we're talking like all
course,
video courses.
just in general.
Yeah,
Do you think somebody can
just
learn
to be clear,
by watching
just
YouTube,
by videos,
watching you,
just by watching videos,
and those things, and piece it all together? I have my answer, but I'm not a pro.
I'll tell you my answer, and then we'll compare answers because I'm really
Yes.
curious what you think.
Yeah.
Oh my God, absolutely. Like without a doubt in my mind, without hesitation, absolutely. There's one big issue that kind of needs to be addressed, and that's the fact that with certain forms of online learning, you cannot ask direct questions to a person. So I just want to like source out what you mean by like online learning. Do you mean
Right.
just learning music videos or learning on Zoom with an individual
Yeah,
person
I
who
want to
you
go
have?
with the no communication with a human being situation because
Oh,
that's really like that's like an online course with Berkeley or a teacher or a student. That's the
Which a lot
question
of
is that
people
Darren,
sell.
right? It's really like nobody to ask questions to. You're watching a video course online. Can you learn to play music through YouTube videos? Like just YouTube videos, no people. Is that the question, Darren?
Yes.
Okay.
all right. I mean,
The answer
you
is no.
well, the
You know
answer
what it is? The answer is the level. Which level you want? If
Yeah,
you
you
want
have
to,
to define what music means, like learn to play music,
right?
Yeah.
define what that means to you.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you want to go into the industry, like I don't think that's a great way to learn.
Yeah.
But if you just want to hang out and like play your favorite songs in your bedroom, most
Right.
absolutely do
If
that.
you want to do three chords and the truth, you can learn how to do that online courses without the interaction with a music teacher. If you want to be intermediate or above, I think you have to have the face to face Zoom stuff.
I
So
mean,
that's what I've learned as a student.
Lindy, you seem wonderful. I can already tell. I've not taken a lesson with Lindy, but just the way she processes information, I can already tell you'd be wonderful to do some hands-on work with for sure. And having somebody there to help you. My answer is unequivocally no. No, you can't. In fact, that's all the students that I get. That mid-tier guitarist, that guitarist that has a bunch of bad situations, things, pieces are off and kind of out the side.
He's describing me.
Yeah, what? No, I'm not actually. What a teacher's there for is to save you so much time, make the process way faster, and having someone to go, yeah, your hands off, or like you should have a pivot finger there. You're moving wrong. You're playing that chord wrong. You don't. Your wrist is. You're causing stress on your wrist. So I'm sure you also agree, but you're like wonderful and kind, and so it's like no, you can learn on YouTube. I'm gonna say unequivocally, I don't think so. I think YouTube can be a benefit, but you should get a
Right.
teacher like
It fills
Lindy
in
Day.
some gaps. It fills
No,
in
I
gaps.
want to expand on that actually.
Yeah.
Because something I've had with my personal teachers that you can't get on YouTube is introduction to the music community, right? Like if I tell you, yo, I want this ending to be like a 151 or whatever, if I say that to you, you know what that means, right?
Absolutely.
And that's when you can like hear on YouTube, you can hear those words. But I feel like when you're with another person who actually uses that stuff and knows the context,
Yeah.
it's like, look, student, I'm going to show you how other musicians communicate and how other musicians talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that's something that is kind of sort of missing from YouTube. It's like YouTube is very like you can play
Agreed.
this song and scale over this chord progression.
agreed.
That's great information to know.
It's
Right.
great. It's great,
Like-
but the accessibility isn't really there. I'm curious when you always hear music is language. When
Mhm.
did that really hit you? Do you remember? Because I remember like the moment it hit me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got it." Or is it just like there was a phase where you transitioned and you were speaking the language fluently, and you look back and you were just like, "Oh my gosh, I see why they say it."
That is a great question. I don't think there was one moment where things happened, but I think it really clicked when I started playing with other people in jam bands. And like I could be like, okay, I'm ready to do a turnaround. I'm gonna do a big turnaround. You know what? I'm gonna go to a new jam progression. Guys, look at me, boom. And like you can kind of tell people where you're
Yeah.
going before you go there.
Yeah.
That I think was when things like locked in. Like, oh my God, everyone in the room did the same thing at the same time.
Everybody's back perks up a little bit. Everyone just like eyebrows raise a little bit, and everyone's like, "Okay, all right, I'm
Yeah.
with you."
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm with you thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny. I was going through a very emotional situation with a person very close to me, and I played the piano and I hit a diminished chord. And it was exactly how I was feeling, and my guts just turned, and I was feeling very anxious and in pain. And I was like, "Oh, music is like the great manipulator." And then I started playing, and I could hear the story coming to life for the first time. Really, I was navigating myself through a dark alley, and I was like, "Okay, all right, I get it."
Here, so to illustrate your two last points about how musicians talk to each other. All right, I'm a music student 4 years in now. I just started very late in life to try it. I get the joke of the diminished chord. right? I
Makes-
completely understand it. I know where it came from. I understand why it's funny.
Makes you
And
feel things,
unless
yeah.
you take lessons on and get those definitional bold letter things and then apply them, you don't get what that joke is going to go over 95% of the people listening to this. That's the beauty that I have learned. Kind of, I'm conversational. I get that joke in the diminished chords. So, Lindy, I see you play classical guitar. I see you play rock. Even what is the genre that makes Lindy go most of the time?
My the two I gosh live with the most is going to be classic rock. That is
Yeah.
a deep root of mine. Yeah, that's where I learned a lot of lead guitar.
Can I ask? Let me interrupt. Can I ask how that genre of music came to be? Because I mean this as a compliment. You don't look old enough to be raised during the classic rock time period. So do you have parents, older siblings, or what? How did you learn to like
Oh my
that
god.
decade, that
No one's
genre?
asked me this before. I love this question too. Wow. I grew up on Don't Laugh. You can laugh. It's fine. You can laugh. I grew up on like emo, the emo scene.
Yeah.
That, that was
Listen,
So
I'm
like
an
like
old guy.
90s? So like 90s?
I rave about My Chemical Romance all the time. Yeah.
Darren has bobbleheads of my chem.
I do. I am
Yeah.
unabashedly a fan. I just went
Yeah.
and saw him in San Antonio recently.
He
wait,
spends
I just saw
excessive
them in
money
New
seeing them.
York.
Yeah.
I saw
Yes.
them in not Madison Square. Where were we? I saw them in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great video on our TikTok of my wife making a fool of herself dancing to Helena. So if you go back a while. Anyway, please continue. Classic rock.
Do you like Saves the Day?
Yes. Yes.
You
Oh my
what's
god, dude.
like one of their albums my favorite. What's a couple of your favorite artists or like people that helped
And then get back
shape
to
you?
classic rock.
Okay, I'm gonna connect this to classic rock because this
Yes.
is
Yes.
absolutely excellent question. Favorite albums? Don't do me like this.
No, just
Or just
current artists today.
Yeah, anyone that
Can I give you current? This is gonna come out of
Yeah,
left.
sure.
yeah.
Here we go. I'm really into Glass Animals right now.
nice.
What is their album? It's something like How to Be a Human or something human. I listen to that all
I'd
the
have to
time.
pull it up too. I do like
How to
some
Be a
Glass
Glass
Animals,
Human.
though.
Call it right now. Glass Animals. Digging them. I got into Fish recently this
Yeah,
year.
for sure.
Like,
Why
Wow.
not?
Well,
Mr.
speaking of
Trey.
jam bands,
here we are. Yeah. Who else am I listening to a lot lately? Is Bad Flower I'm onto.
Not familiar.
Yeah, there's so many, you guys. It's kind of all over the
Well,
place.
circle back to the classic rock. How was that an inspiration?
Okay, so I checked this out. I moved to California. I wanted to make money as a musician. I would sit in the corner of restaurants and play like black tie classical guitar restaurant gigs.
Yes.
Just to like make a buck. I mean,
Yeah.
it worked. It worked really well. Eventually, someone came up to me. They're like, "Wow, you're good at classical. Do you also play electric?" I was like,
don't you
No.
hate that question? I freaking hate that question. What a dumb question.
But
Anyway, go
did you
ahead.
play electric at the time?
when they say that, like, yeah, it's a thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
I was asked that question that you hate, which is fine. And then I was like, I don't really play lead guitar that
Mhm.
much. He was like, well, I have this rock band, and we kind of want you to join because you're kind of awesome. I was like, let's
Yeah.
do it.
Well,
Right?
do you and can you are two different things. I should probably,
But
yeah.
Darren,
please
a lot
continue.
of people that play classical guitar don't play as much sometimes, or they'll even stick with
because
it.
they
Did
don't
you
want
play?
to, not because they can't.
No. Well, they're very different. Did you play much electric before the classical guitar?
Not that
Yeah.
much.
And tell me you won't agree with this statement. Like, could you play electric? Of course. But
Right.
like learning to navigate on an electric in a classic rock style takes its amount of time. You were way faster. I'm sure you navigated it much quicker. But like
Right.
it takes a minute. You gotta
It
feel
didn't
those
take
bends
you the
out.
original 5 years that you put into
No, it
it.
did
Anyway, all right.
No, it did
We're
not.
answering the question for us. Sorry.
We are.
It's. I mean, I'll tell you, there's classical guitarists that become electric guitarists, just clean players. Oh my god, clean
Of
players.
course.
Love it.
Right? There's none of
Yes,
it.
Randy Rhoads started that whole thing a long time ago. Yeah.
It's a thing. So, anyways, like long story short, this band just did a bunch of classic rock covers, and we like went and did bar gigs, right from like black tie like restaurant gigs to these fun bar gigs. Oh my god! So that's really where. Hi, internet. Are we back?
We're here. We haven't
Oh,
lost
yeah.
you.
we never
Yeah,
left.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I joined this band. We just played some classic rock covers, and it was totally different than classical guitar. But I'm really glad I did it.
Nice.
That band was actually where I got a lot of my love for classic rock. It came a little later.
Oh,
in
I
life.
see.
Cool.
Yeah. playing with
Cool.
those guys, like hearing them talk, because these were the guys who were there when it was happening. They were a little
Sure.
older than me, right?
Cool.
So hearing them talk about all these stories of like, oh, when I saw this band, when I saw that band, I love this song because that really opened it
So it
up.
wasn't like a childhood thing. It came later and it came with an appreciation for doing it. That's fantastic. I love it. So you did it and you were like, hey, this is cool.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay. We have about 10 minutes left, and we have a few more questions. This question is out of left field, but I'm genuinely amused in a positive way about this. What is the deal with people on your social channels commenting about women playing jumbo guitars? What is that about? Seriously, I is there something I'm missing? What is that? I don't understand it.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. So, I have a bunch of different guitars that I play. Some guitars look very normal to my size. Other guitars look absolutely huge on my body size.
And that's different from other guitarists. How?
It's not. Here's the interesting thing, it's not. Um, okay, look, I'm a woman, I am 5'4". I'm
Right.
not actually that tall. I have a small
I
frame.
really
When
thought you were like 6'2", but please keep going.
I that, I'm 6'2". Yeah. Oh, God, so what comment do I get that on all the time? My Ibanez. Whenever I play my hollow body Ibanez, everyone's like, "Oh, that guitar is huge. Oh, that guitar is gigantic." And I'm at the point where I'm just personally sick of hearing that because
Yeah.
it's a normal size guitar. It's a
Yeah.
standard size guitar.
Yeah.
Right.
I love my Ibanez. Some of the other guitars you guys see are actually 3/4 size guitars. My Taylor is one of the smaller body ones. So the smaller guitars look normal on me. I never get those comments on those.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to stand up and real strongly be like, hey,
Yeah.
women look different on different size guitars. Like guitars, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think guitars were made for men's bodies in mind. I
Hmm.
don't know. I've never asked a luthier that question.
You know, it's funny. I play small body guitars too, just because it's easier on my shoulders. But also, if you put like one of your small body guitars on, say, Darren over here, we'd have an inverse comment happening probably. Darren, why is that guitar so small? Like they're baby style guitars. Even for me, like they end up looking kind of small. Yeah, guitars
Listen,
look different on different people.
I'm 6'1" and really overweight, and
You're
my
tall.
primary guitar is a mini Taylor GS2 Koa. Right, it's tiny, I have a big Taylor 314 and all that, but I play the small one. It's funny to me because you can't watch a contemporary female country singer
Mhm.
without seeing one of those big jumbo guitars. So it's not uncommon. So anyway, I've noticed that in there. So thank you for indulging me for that
The answer is
seemingly
really the
silly.
sound.
Seriously, it's a cute way to kind
Yeah.
of just be like, "Hey, there's women guitar players out in the
Yeah.
world." I think that's what I'm trying
Well,
to
of
do.
course there's
On
whatever.
jumbo.
Listen to Laurie Basilia if you want
Oh
a
my
woman
god.
who can shred and just is unbelievable. Can play any genre. Do you know who that is?
I
I know the name.
Basilio, Lari Basilio,
Yeah.
amazing guitar player. Anyway, let's talk about your music a little bit. Uh, Mike and I are both very curious. How is it that you got to be on NBC? They air music in the NHL and Saturn Rings on IMAX and Gears of War. Talk about that part of your career.
Yeah, this has been a fun one. I'm part of a production studio, and we've got a guy who sends us pitches, and he pitches music for us.
Ah,
So musicians make tons of different income streams. Yeah, that's just what we do. So the studio really has been the product of that. We've gotten some cool opportunities and cool placements through that.
fun. Awesome.
so it's somebody that's in the entertainment world that you have a contact with, and he or she is out making these deals and hiring you.
Yeah, so our recording studio is signed to this agency. It's a placement agency, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, they'll like send us pitches maybe once a month or once a quarter, whatever, and they'll just say, "Here's some clients who are sorry, they can't tell us the clients. They'll say, "Here's some songs that are needed for upcoming projects." And it's this huge like range of everything. I mean, we get asked to do video game music right alongside Netflix. Dark. We need a dark trailer sounding song. We need a classic rock style song. Like it's all over the map, which is really fun as a musician because you do get to flex all the different genres. All the different styles.
Sure.
It's really fun. It's
Yeah.
cool.
So if you're hanging out with friends and they're playing Gears of War 5, and you're like, Hey, hear that? That's me. Is that the move? Is that the cool move right there?
It's not my style, but I mean,
Oh, come
Do you
on.
play video games, Lindy? That's the question.
yeah.
Me too. What do you? I would. We'll have a separate combo after this about what video games we play because they're the
Okay, I would
best.
love to talk about it.
Yes.
So classical guitars,
Mhm.
classic rock lead guitars, and then alto saxophone. It
Love it.
feels like the Sesame Street. One of us doesn't belong here. One of those things. What on earth do you do with the alto saxophone? And how
Yeah,
often do you play it?
that,
I haven't
yeah.
seen that on Lessons with Lindy.
It's okay. This was the one that my parents were like, you have to play an instrument growing up. What do you want to do? I was like, I
Uh,
want to do the coolest instrument that exists. I didn't know guitar. Like, guitar was not an option to me at that time. I had to like play in band. So I chose saxophone. Like, give me that.
you and Kenny G.
Lindy,
Yeah.
I also play the sax and was
Oh
this
my
Oh my
sixth
God.
in sixth grade. That was the exact conversation. In fact, they
Yes.
didn't have it in the school band, and I was like, I need this. Can you make the spot? My teacher did it for me because she was awesome.
What?
Exact same thing. I thought it was so
Oh
cool.
my
Why did
God.
we think it was cool? Is there a reason? Do we have an answer of why?
See,
Because
now
looking back, I'm like trumpet or something. Like, you know.
I have another friend on TikTok who's this like guitar god, and he started on alto sax too. So I'm like, we're gonna start a group or something. I
Oh,
don't know.
oh, let's do this. So, side question. Side question. Do you remember who your first band is that you ever saw?
The first band I ever saw, absolutely, was Switchfoot in New York City. Yeah.
Nice. Mine was
Yeah.
Kenny G.
Oh, wait, well, hold on. Are we talking about concerts I got to choose? The concerts my parents dragged me
Oh,
to?
my parents dragged me to when I was like 11 years old, and I
Yeah.
honestly was like, I think I thought it was cool, but slightly scarred. A really sustained B note for sure.
Right.
Oh, so Micah, those are inside thoughts.
No, it's exterior. I run a radio show. Everything that I am, you guys all get.
I'm very lucky. Oh God, I'm going to date myself. My first concert was Rush. Long
Yeah,
time
there
ago.
you go.
Yeah, my older brother
Let's go.
took me.
First concert.
Yeah.
These Tom Sawyer.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So, all right, you got this production studio. You have a song on Spotify. You've created music yourself. Talk about your creative process. And we love this discussion, and this will be our last discussion before we wrap up, because every musician's slightly different. But to talk about your creative process of producing new music.
Yeah. I mean, I've done so much in the industry. I've like been in, I've done so much. So it's cool when I'm writing songs just as Lindy Day. It's really cool to let all that stuff go and not think about like arpeggios, not think about like what mode are we in.
All right.
Like, it usually starts with a thesis idea. There's a song I'm working on right now called New Tattoo, right? And my sister's getting a tattoo next week, and she's like been through
Hey.
some stuff this year, and like there's a reason she needs a new tattoo, right?
Yeah.
Well, this song is about that feeling of like, yo, I've been through some hard stuff. I'm ready to close the book on that chapter, but before I do, I need a new tattoo, right? And like, I'll start with that thought and I'll just make a song that everything will point back to that idea. So it's very like emotionally based, it's very thesis based, it's very what chords and what sounds can I use that reflect that idea best.
I love it.
Well,
Sounds like the right to the payoff situation. If new tattoo is where you're going, I love it. You got a story. Now let's figure out the stuff in
I
between.
understand it's metaphorical and allegorical, but one of my clients is a tattoo shop in
Yes.
Austin, so let's
Yes.
talk after this.
Yeah,
Oh,
after
yeah.
this is done, we'll talk.
All right.
Well, I must say, everybody, it has been a real pleasure. Joining us today is Lindy Day. You can find her on all of the social media channels. Lessons with Lindy. It's Lindy. Lindy, you are a wonderful person. You seem like a real pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us today. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you guys. I was looking forward to this interview and it's great being here. Thank you.
Yay.
Awesome. To everybody out there at 94.3